Yeah, we'll send in advisors. That seems okay. As well as shipping over arms. Let's get like 2 different things going. Like, how is your... You have 4% stability. That's not good, I'll admit. Overextended army, legacy of Dutch Africa, and the Great African Clusterfuck. Fantastic. Germany restored control over Central Europe. You're getting a few more people back into your faction. You're just like slowly going, getting larger and larger. Still not like great, but what is it? Is it just about pull out of Africa and increase party unity? Do we need increased party unity? Wait. I mean, American society is disunited, which has benefit to president challengers and boost extremists. I don't think we need to do this, actually. So, you 2 went to war. No, you guys are already at war. I mean, somebody else just went to war, and I'm actually not too sure who exactly it was. They had a Russian flag. I know that, at least. Yeah, you guys are all doing your own thing. That's okay. And you are pull out of Africa, which I don't think we want to do, like, at all. Okay, Slovakia is now in the faction as well. And a research slot. What are we gonna go for? Yeah, might as well just, like, finish this up. Or it's gonna collapse no matter what you do. You know, it's fine. It's fine. If anything goes bad, chat told me to do it, so... Anything bad happens, you can blame it on chat. I mean, it doesn't really matter. If it breaks apart, it breaks apart. I just like, no, there's not. Everything here is fine. Yeah, we want these guys to be like as stable as possible. Current investment is apparently still low. We'll throw in like another 110 political power. Because why not? Saturday mornings with Tom and Jerry. And I'm guessing you just surrendered. Yes, you did. In one surprise release, Metro Goldwyn Mayer announced to millions of eager American children that their most famous cat and mouse duo has come to CBS. Press release from the broadcasting channel itself said that the new episodes of the award-winning cartoon show, Tom and Jerry, will feature in its weekend morning lineup alongside returns to shorts made by Gene Dutch and the original creators of Hanna-Barbera. The series has undergone numerous changes, both in art style and content, since their introduction to the viewing public in 1940, but MGM has promised to maintain the consistency of high quality of comedy that it is known for. With the venerable Chuck Jones of Warner Brother Cartoons fame in charge of the reboot, observers believe that the Big Five studio has enough reason to be confident with their claims. Regardless of details, fans, both young and old, have since expressed their ecstasy in seeing the duo's slapstick escapades every Saturday morning with bags of heartfelt mail delivered to MGM's post office box. The future seemed bright for the centerpiece of an entire... why? I just find it, like, surprising. Like, there's just so many, like, small events that don't really matter at all. Yeah, you're just a timeout that we don't care about. Got our funding for ARPA. After that... I really don't even think we actually need to increase our military that much. Let's deal with the center. ARPA funding. Sure, high funding. That seems okay. I know their flavor. But there's so many just like random flavor events. Military police we don't need. Might as well finish you off. Get all the research slots there. I feel like Italy is still doing like quite well for themselves. What are you guys doing? No national focus has been set. Base for stability. Minimum stability required. I mean, if you just like broke apart again, like I wouldn't be upset about that. Send more aid to Africa. I'm sending as much aid as I can. Propaganda campaign. This will stabilize the mandates a little bit. But actually, it's giving political power to the other things that, like... Actually, they don't affect this tag at all. So maybe this doesn't actually do anything. Strange bedfellows. As President Johnson prepares the groundwork for his great society, he has found that the road to implementing his vision may be rougher than he originally thought. I mean, yeah, I guess I'm not using my political power for much. He found the road for implementing his vision may be rougher than he originally thought. Many of the more conservative Democrats are unlikely to take kindly to such a broad government programs, and the far-right NPP are sure to oppose much of what he plans on sheer principle, no matter how well he lays it out. The balance of power in the Senate more precarious than ever. All it would take is a few opposition votes to block his plans to derail everything that he's worked for. There is, however, a force within the Senate that might be willing to aid the president. The Center NPP shares many of the president's core beliefs, and the central leader, Robert F. Kennedy, having passionately spoken out about the state of poverty in America in the past. For this reason, President Johnson has mulled over the possibility of an agreement between Republican and Democrats and the Center NPP. In exchange for giving some concessions to the Center, they'll surely be willing to give Johnson the votes he needs to pass whatever measures he likes and implement the Great Society to its fullest extent. The only problem is the ruckus that this will likely cause in his own party. After much years of bitter divide between the two parties, there is likely to be much consternation at the idea of partnership, especially from the Democratic contingent of the party. However, after much consideration, President Johnson has deemed that the best course of action and intends to write a long letter to Robert Kennedy offering an olive branch, laying out the many ways the partnership between the two men may bear fruit, not just for each other, but for America. And we'll just follow that up with, for the good of Americans, 14 days. I have negative 33 political power right now, huh? Not great. Unease within the Democrats. As predicted, Democrats are not all happy with the President Johnson's overtures to the Center NPP. As news of his letters to Robert F. Kennedy spreads, many within the RD Jr.'s party have expressed their anger at the president looking to get in bed with our political enemies. Vice President McCauley today reportedly went as far as to suggest that going any further down this road of cooperation would be a serious betrayal of the union between the Republicans and the Democrats. This has thrown a spanner in the works of the presidential plans, but not an unanticipated one. Already there's been moves to reassure Democratic senators that any cooperation with the Center NPP would be purely on the basis of convenience, and that there is no way he would overturn the Republican Democratic principles in the interest of gaining their support. This has quieted some of the murmurs, but there's still some concerns as to what exactly the Center will demand for their assistance. Robert F. Kennedy has yet to formally respond to the President's missive, though many political pundits agree that it's only a matter of time before he does. As the President's the first real chance for the NPP to gain some power, as their defeat in the election mere months ago. Some of you noted the irony of the Republican president once again working with a Kennedy. We're going to lose more political power. The Italian UAE have a focus tree. No, they don't have a focus tree right now at all. I don't know if any of these guys do. I mean, Italy proper does, but that's about it. Johnson and Kennedy meet. Robert F. Kennedy has responded positively to President Johnson's offer of cooperation and has agreed to meet him at the White House to discuss the terms of agreement between their parties. The meeting between the two men began pleasantly enough, with Kennedy taking his time to praise some of Johnson's proposed reforms and complimented him on his willingness to reach out across the aisle to do what was right for the country. However, Kennedy has made it clear that there were other things he wanted from the agreement than just good thoughts, and proceeded to lay out a list of conditions drawn up by both himself and other Center NPP senators that would require for any agreement to be made. Some of these issues were mostly compatible with President Johnson's intended course, but a sticking point did emerge. A key demand that Kennedy insisted he would not budge on was that the president do more to resolve the ongoing civil rights issue, with Kennedy sadly admitting that his late brother had not done quite enough to truly finish the job. While this is not necessarily opposed to this, President Johnson knew that extending the reach of civil rights legislation would not sit well with the more conservative Democrats and may well drive some of them to the far-right NPP. As such, the two men debated for many hours, and Johnson expressing his concern, and Kennedy attempting to offer workable compromises, but never straying from one of the main demands. In the end, the two men agreed to the deal, which they felt was reasonable, suitable to both of them. President Johnson agreed to Kennedy's core demands in exchange for some concessions. It remains to be seen if the party will be approving of the deal, however. Yeah, we'll just hope they don't yell too much. It's fine. It's fine. We do have a research slot, though, which we will go for. Sure, why not? 1968 rifle could be worse. It could be better, but, you know. Then we need to introduce the concept of negative 103 political power. Not a great way to start. And our current investment in Africa is still low. And is that because it's not actually affecting this tag? Maybe. Maybe. Fury in the Democrats. That our president will be so readily capitulate to the demands of our opponents in the interest of furthering his own cause is a national disgrace. The NPP has no place in this ruling coalition. That I might add, remind all here today that it's a coalition between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. President Johnson continues down this path. I cannot say in good faith that I will support the union between our parties any longer, and I'm sure that many of my fellow Democrats can agree. These were the words spoken with a barely contained anger at Democratic Senator Wallace F. Bennett today. And true to his word, there is an echo by many within his party. The agreement between President Johnson and Kennedy's Center NPP have drawn the ire of the Democrats. You see the president's intent to deal with the center over his own Democratic partners as an act of betrayal. In addition, its promise to review the civil rights issue has reportedly led some of the more conservative senators to quietly exchange words with the far-right wing of the NPP, perhaps considering that whether they will find better leadership and representation under their banner. This newest internal crisis is fast becoming yet another hurdle for the President Johnson's plans for the country. While some note that he is certainly shaking things up, largely stagnant political theater, the reality for the president is much more of a headache. With the smaller but nonetheless significant half of the party threatening to outright break from their coalition, he will need to find a way to either placate the Democrats or keep them in line if he wants his young presidency to maintain a power to do what it feels is necessary. No matter what, we're going to be divided, so, you know, let him complain. Let him complain. We're now at negative 126 political power. We're getting 0.5 a day, which is not good. The Johnson treatment. In the last few days, President Johnson has been hard at work attempting to smooth over the rift between the Democrats and himself. In a mixture of private talks and public speeches, he has engaged in a fierce charm offensive, utilizing his political charisma to convince his fellow politician that he is on their side. He has made it clear that though he fully intends to work with the Center NPP to pass on crucial reforms, he firmly believes that the bond between the Republicans and Democrats is more important now than ever, and he will do whatever it takes to ensure that that bond is maintained. However, Johnson has taken a more aggressive and assertive attitude to some of the more stubborn Democrats who will see him as untrustworthy of leading them. Some bring up the fact that the Democrats' popularity still hasn't recovered since the loss of the Second World War. Johnson has subtly reminded the Democrats that the party would have been consigned to irrelevancy by now had the Republican-Democratic coalition now been established. This combined with some other rather bullish statements, some of which could be construed as mild threats towards certain senators, has rendered some of the largest opponents within the party notably silent in recent days. For the time being, it seems that the Democrats have been calmed. The President Johnson's deal with the Center NPP now draws a little more consternation than wild speculation from the media. While the drama may have abated, however, it's clearly revealed that cracks begin to show with the Republican Democrats. The party survives for now, but who can say what the future holds? Another 25 political power down the drain. So, good, I guess? I got pressure from you. 80, I have like 3 months to do something. Impact on everything is very, very weak. Okay. Speech across the nation. After months of wrangling behind closed doors and spirited speculation from the press, President Johnson today finally unveiled his Great Society program in full detail to the American public. The speech given directly to guest appearances at the University of Michigan, Johnson laid out the way his project would tackle poverty, racial injustice, education, healthcare, and transportation, among other aspects of American society in need of reform. Vowing to overhaul the country in our cities and our countryside and in our classrooms, the president expressed his firm belief that the Great Society is exactly what our country needs in these trying times. His speech drew applause from those in his audience and from many within the Republican Democrats. However, his plans were not without opposition. With the war in South Africa still raging on, citation needed, many question whether America can afford the president's proposed programs, on top of the money vanishing into that quagmire. In addition, some voices within the far-right NPP and the Democrats murmur that many of Johnson's initiatives would be gross overreach of the government's authority, and that at least one far-right senator reportedly denounced him as a power-hungry proto-fascist. In the next few months, President Johnson intends to pass a myriad of bills aimed at implementing his vision. This will cause the law's arduous process. It will certainly be necessary to cut out more deals to secure support necessary to pass these bills. Regardless, he believes that there's no task, is too much, and shall render American society truly great. Become more popular, fit to political power, making things a little bit better for us. Form some task force. Impact. It's like 80. Like, what do you do? They grow emergent. They get more. They get stronger. If not completed, get 100% political power if we do it. Something that we need to be doing here. Not as far as I can tell. Domestic situation. All we can do there is pull out of Africa. Can't do too much here right now anyways. So for the good of the party, the Oval Office was illuminated by a dim orange glow as the sun set in the distance. Inside, Presidential aide Walter Jenkins enters with a large handful of documents and folders for the president to see. President Lyndon Baines Johnson sits in his chair reading and signing other important documents. How did your meeting with the Senator Bennett go, Mr. President? Asked Jenkins. About as well as can be expected, replied an exhausted President Johnson. As long as I don't try to completely overhaul the American political system and disturb the status quo too much, the Democrats will ride along and vote with us. Jenkins sat up in his seat, an orange glow of the setting sun warming his skin. But President Johnson, isn't that what you tend to do? Was that not your entire campaign platform to reform the American political system and create a great society? In due time, Walt, replied Johnson, signing another document and setting it aside. So you're going to break your deal with the Democrats later on. Maybe, he said, or maybe they'll fall in line and vote with us anyways. Maybe I'll get enough votes to ignore them and just go ahead with my plans. In all due respect, sir, but I don't think the Democrats will just let you do that. They'll cause a big fuss. Have you ever tried to calm a panicking horse? Or persistently a mule? You'll need to approach slowly and only go around the back when you're sure it trusts you. Politics are the same. But right now, we're still on the approach. That might work, but what if it doesn't? One thing at a time, Johnson replied. For the moment, they'll have to hug our elephant, and I'll have to kiss our ass. And I'll have to kiss their ass. Never mind. I mean, yeah. The war's still going on in a certain perspective. I guess. Task Force. Great Society. We do have... I mean, are we still training up tanks? We are. We're just slowly training up more and more tank divisions. That's okay for now. Backroom meetings. The yellow glowing lamps hanging from its low ceiling, besides the weak lighting, the room was extravagantly decorated. Velvet-lined chairs sat around the magnificently carved oak table, and the walls were covered with matching wood paneling. Lovely room, said Lyndon Johnson, entering through the door opposite Jackson. Sorry about the lighting, Jackson replied. It's already been a little bit of an ignored room. As for you to meet... I asked for one to meet you in, didn't I? I suppose. In any case, we're going to make this brief, Johnson. I have a lot of things to do. Spend a lot of time in here, and people start to notice, too. What do you need? Johnson sat down at a beautiful table across from Jackson. I'm going to need your help, he began. The Democrats won't be complacent in my reforms forever, and when they turn, I'll need to center NPP votes. What's in it for us? Why should I help? Why should I help you sway the center? Why shouldn't you is a better question. By supporting my reforms, you get everything you've been begging for and more. And what exactly have we been begging for? Civil rights, universal health care, greater social security, and about 100 other things. Jackson pondered for a moment. If I'm going to help you, you'll need to help me. Any bill the center calls for, I want you to support. Alright. I can't promise the Republicans will follow suit, but I'll throw a bone when you want one. Excellent, replied Jackson, smiling. I think we're going to get along. We're going to get a lot done together, Mr. President. We're going to lose another 50 political power. Great. And now the Great Society in 35 more days. If high unity, you, again, don't do anything. Because we got this nonsense. An OFN mandate. How's everything going here? Like, we're next to DEFCON 5. I mean, wars have kind of settled down a little bit. In a bid to cleanse the NSDAP of disloyal members, Albert Speer, Führer of the German Reich, has begun the Saunders Reich, a special trial which saw several members of the party accused of... Hey! The Indonesian War. That seems pretty okay. That seems like that could help me out. A special trial saw several members of the party accused of a giant list of crimes, from abuse of power to accepting bribes and even treason. As well as this, several democratic countries have protested against what has been disappeared, or what has appeared to be a purge in disguise, but didn't deter the government of Romania. After several months, Spear had achieved a double result. Not only did he tighten his grip on the party, but the German people were also much more supportive of his regime. The public opinion once more in his favor. The Fuhrer can now concentrate on more important matters. So you are now worth you, not in a faction. Does that actually open up anything for us? Yes, it did. We can't... Of course, I gotta restart this thing because a new focus tree popped up. We gotta redo the whole event here. I'm assuming... I could actually send you volunteers right away. I can send you one division. I can send you aircraft. If I was to send you aircraft, how many aircrafts would that be? I can send you 240 planes? Sure. I will send you 240 aircraft. No problem there. Because they don't have anything to actually shoot my units down. Are they still over here? No. The S-Wings. Send you to this airport. Needs to do better here because all the straight crossings. That makes sense. How many units do you have? Do we know? We might outnumber you. You're already immediately surrounded, which is nice for us. How do I make you bigger? Yes. So we can have 240 planes in here, set limit. And maybe you'll get some supplies back? 96? I mean, that's still okay. We'll basically try to secure island after island. You're also pretty nicely surrounded. And the burning jungle. Free at last! Vladimir's bony hands gripped a warm coffee, careful not to spill the first proper drink in days. The snow has no longer bit his back, protected by a new coat. The gulag's lights have turned on to welcome the chairman's visit. Illuminating the night, a line of prisoners hurried towards the truck where officers were distributing rations. A stark contrast to the other side of the camp where the old guards of the gulag was being deported. The commotion quieted down when a group of soldiers formed a circle in the main square. All talk ceased when a man announced himself the president of the Soviet Union. Comrades rejoiced. The tyrannical Kovnevik has been ousted from power. No longer shall you be forced to work in these camps. Nikita Khrushchev summoned your attention. Summon the attention of everybody now. His voice boomed through the falling snow. Our new union is built upon justice, equality, freedom, not slavery in these gulags. Tomorrow, my loyal soldiers my loyal officers will escort you to your homes. But first to eat your fill. The crowd cheered. Never before had Vladimir observed such happiness in the camp. His thoughts drifted of thoughts of home, reconciling his memories long gone, hoping to find his family again. So Khrushchev is here? I guess so. I'm guessing you, but I'm really not too sure. Is it you? Okay, it doesn't actually matter too much. At least not right now. You never seen Free Indonesia win? Well, now we're gonna try to change that. We'll try to get this to work for us. Are you? I don't know. It's not a big deal. Why did I even get that pop-up? I'm not even in Russia at all. Maybe just to tell you that the Soviet Union's back. That's my best guess, at least. Conversation from the street. Indonesia calls. The San Diego Convention Center was the host of a large Ranches NPP rally following the most recent onset of hostilities in Indonesia. Much like the rest of California, America's finest city simmered with anti-Japanese sentiment. Now that opportunity to strike back at their sworn nemesis had appeared. A simmer turned into a violent geyser, sweeping San Diego citizenry in equal parts rage and euphoria. Let's get those slimy fucking bastards while they're down, shouting Jeffrey Holloway amidst a rabble-roused crowd. A college student carried with him the old propaganda poster from the Second World War, held high above his head, made indistinct from the forest of upraised arms around him, but he seemed to care little. Bomb them all, bomb them all. When a mantra, he and the rally breathed out one before they unleashed their pent-up energy onto downtown San Diego that night. The mood in MCRS San Diego was contrastly subdued. Grunts grumbles as grunts are wont, of course. Grunts grumble as grunts are wont, of course. But many wore ribbons and pins from South Africa. Dusty, gory South Africa. Needless to say, a good number harbored little appetite for another adventure sown. After the last, Lance Corporal Timothy Crossbow carried his opinions louder and more bluntly than his colleagues. We've already stuck our dicks into the veld, said the Marine, and now look how small that went for us. A couple of 10,000 of our boys went back home on a flag and the Corps thought in prayers. And now they're sending us to some malaria-infested jungle in the middle of nowhere. Pay better, be better at least. Like the infamous volcanoes, Indonesia has erupted into the worst fighting on the peninsula has ever seen since World War II. The free world clamors for the intervention into the rising sun's soft underbelly, loosen the empire's hold over these Indies oppressed. But South Africa remains fresh in the minds of many. Does America have the will to stomach one war after another, they ask? We'll always stand up to tyranny. Even though I think you guys are doing pretty badly to begin with, to be honest. These actually straits connect to each other. 27 to 41. You're now outnumbered, which is not great. You will capture all of these areas, which is okay. I mean, I could just send volunteers still. You were just... No, you're infantry divisions as well. I mean, sending over... I know tanks are still, like, not great in the jungles. I'm still going to send over a tank division. Even if it might be, like, a bad idea, I still think it's actually not... I don't think it's... It could be worse. So what are you wanting me to do? 25 days. Yeah, I know we've got some problems there. You still want me to pull out of Africa? No, we're not going to do that. And you are still in a Japanese sphere. And we need to... Very weak. I have no... Disavow the Dixie Crafts. Let's not do that right now. Marine is best here. Well... Seeing as it's just hitting 5 o'clock now. Seeing as it's just hitting about 5 o'clock now, I think this is going to be a decent time for us to end the stream. We might be streaming a little bit more of this tomorrow, though, so tune in for that. I don't know when it's going to be exactly, but probably sometime around maybe 5 o'clock tomorrow. But I think if you've enjoyed the stream, remember to click the follow button so you can get some notifications for when we go live. If you've been also enjoying, you can also go to click those links there. Join the Discord, follow me on Twitter. If you enjoy the stream a lot and you want to help support the channel, you can click the subscribe button in the top right corner for only $4.99 per month. You can help support the content that I create. But for now, have a great day. Have a great night, depending on whatever time zone you're in. Thank you, Ropa, for the follow. And, have a great day. Goodbye.